Hey guys, I thought it would make sense to do just a real quick review video to kind of remind you what you really want to focus on to do well on an exam too. It really does kind of assume that you've watched the videos and you've at least skimmed the chapters. To do the best, you're going to need to know where to find these information about crime insurance, about business income insurance, about inland marine insurance, and so forth. We're going to have a time limit this time. Last time I told you there was a time limit. I don't think I actually said it. It's set this time. So if you get to 2 hours, it'll automatically submit. And that means you got to be ready. You can use books and notes. That doesn't mean you can just walk in and take the test and expect to do well, not having watched any lectures. I don't think that's possible. Probably not something I even need to talk about with this group. But just so you know, we're going to start. We got 8 short answer questions. There were 72 points total. And then I've got 14 multiple choice questions, 2 points apiece. I said it in the instructions here, but I set it up that way so that if you do run out of time, at least you've already answered the most valuable questions. And if you miss a couple multiple choice questions, that doesn't hurt your score quite as badly. So yeah, just a reminder, you can't work with other people. This has got to be your own work. The other thing that's going to help you is don't copy and paste from another source. Don't just copy what's in the textbook. As much as possible, use your own words. That will get you the most credit. It's okay to use books and notes as a source to try to remind yourself about some of this stuff, but you're not going to be able to just copy word for word and expect credit. I won't give credit for that. That's not learning. Copy and pasting, that is not a valuable skill. So I really want to work against that. All right, so yeah, you can see the time limits in here. We will, once you're done, you will have a chance to see what you get wrong after everybody's had a chance to see the exam. I'm sure you can understand why I have to do it that way to protect the integrity of the exam. But you will get your chance, but it won't be until after everybody's taken it. All right, having said that, looking at the exam, some things that I'd want you to remember. Okay, so remember when we talked about business income coverage, we had continuing expenses, non-continuing expenses. You're going to want to know the difference between those two and be able to give a couple examples. Coinsurance, there's a coinsurance problem on here. And the nice thing about coinsurance is the pattern's always the same, right? It's the amount carried over the amount required. And the amount required is the percentage of the total that you're supposed to have, right? So it could be 50%, it could be 80%, it could be 125%. It has to be given to you. You can't figure it out. But we take the amount carried, how much insurance do you have, divided by how much were you supposed to have. And that's a percentage of the total. And then we apply that to any partial losses that you have if you have not met that coinsurance requirement. So just be aware of how to do a coinsurance calculation in business income. That's something that we're going to have to do. Let me remind myself here about some of these other things. Oh, okay. Know how to define a business income loss in terms of numbers. What is the business income loss? We talked about that in lecture. It's in the book. But make sure that you know how to define when this happens, how much of a loss was it? That's something that comes up in a couple places. One is in that coinsurance problem. And then there's another specific problem that says, what is the business income loss? And you have to explain it, remember, too. Just giving me a number won't get you full credit. Let's see. We need to talk about just the structure of business income coverage. You'll need to know some of the optional coverages you can add on to there and what they do. Like there are the monthly limit of indemnity. That's one. There's extended dependent, the contingent business income and extra expense option. The expediting expense piece, you'll need to know all of those. For crime, you'll need to know the 10 insuring agreements. Not that you have to list them, but you have to be able to pick out when you would use them, and you'll have to name them correctly. So yeah, you don't have to memorize them, but you have to have a source that lists them available so that you could refer to that and say, oh yeah, that's this one. Some of them you could do off the top of your head, but I don't know if you could do all of them. Let's see, inland marine, you'd want to know what coverages are provided through inland marine. I think that makes sense. Let me go ahead and see what else is on here that you might be thinking about. Okay. Restoration periods for both business income coverage and business income, and then also the business income coverage piece that's part of equipment breakdown insurance, particularly with regard to restoration periods and what those are. You're going to want to know what that is. Um, let's see. What about the coinsurance clause? You have a couple different ways you can get rid of that. Those options for business income. That's another way I could ask that question. We talked about that. What is equipment breakdown coverage? Why do you need that? What does that actually cover? Talked about that in lecture. I'll be able to answer that. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a broader application of what I just said. What does it actually cover? Business, when we talk about equipment breakdown coverage, what is actually covered by those losses? There's a question on there that you need to know. Yeah, this is all stuff we talked about. I feel good looking through this exam, feeling like, yeah, if you watched the lecture and you took good notes, you should be in good shape if you have access to those notes. Filed and non-filed forms of inland marine coverage. What are some examples, and then what's the difference? Ocean marine coverage, those three coverages in there. We got cargo insurance, we got hull insurance, and then we got protection and indemnity. You got to know what's covered by each of those. So just have a way to refer to that and be ready, and you'll be fine. And I think, yeah, really, that's enough hints to be able to help you prepare and do well. Again, it's about preparation. It's about having this stuff available so that you know where you can go. That's what's going to make the time limit not a problem. Is being organized enough to know where you got to go. Oh, this is a crime insurance question. Yep, let me get my crime insurance notes, so that you're not flipping back and forth all the time, looking. Gosh, did we talk about this? I don't remember. I also think the book is really helpful. I'm using actual exam questions as the industry exam questions as the models for what I'm using. So you'll find that they're really specific. Sometimes it's really helpful to have that text so that you can go for the specificity. All right. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you. I think that's a pretty decent preview for what's about to come. Thanks for your attention. If you got questions, send me an email. Happy to respond. Otherwise, exams due by Friday this week by the end of the day. And we'll go from there. Thanks a lot, everybody.